Well, I recently came into possession of about 6 antique clocks, all of them made in Connecticut. And I got these as part of a trade. This is the oldest one. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I figured out its age. It's actually kind of cool. And a little bit about this style clock. This is an OG clock, which was very common in the mid-19th century. They were primarily made in Connecticut. I believe they were all made in Connecticut, to be honest. And they're weight-driven clocks. They come in a variety of different styles, but they all have basically the same case. And the OG name comes from the style molding that encases the clock. And it has a slight S-curve to it. It starts out like here, and then it kind of curves in and then back out again. That's called the OG molding, and was used prior to the clock industry usurping the term. Now, this particular style clock will typically have glass panel on the bottom, a clear glass panel on the top. The panel on the bottom can be a mirror, a clear piece of glass, a painting, a variety of different options were available depending on the clockmaker. The face can vary in any one of many hundreds of ways. This is the original face. Now let's talk a little bit about how I figured out its age. So I'm going to open it up here. Now you can see that the interior panel is covered in this lithographic print. This is how I determine the clock's age, but there's another way I figured it out too. But let's talk about this one first. All of these OG clocks have the maker's badge or some identifying information as to whoever built the clock in this paper lithographic sheet. And this particular one was made by the Chauncey Boardman company in Bristol, Connecticut. Seth Thomas used almost the exact same case and the exact same movement in their version of this clock. And they were made from around 1845, I believe, up until 1910, actually. This was a very long-running design. Now, back to this sheet here. You can see there's a nice scene in the background. Now, this may look like it was designed to look like old-time America, but in fact, this was modern America when this clock was made. You have a stagecoach drawn by, looks like 4 horses, a steam locomotive, a city in town with a bunch of people there, and a couple of wagons. This was modern America when this clock was made. But how do I determine when it was made? On the very bottom of this sheet, I'm going to turn night shot mode on so you can see it. I have printed here, this was the printer's information. Press of Elihu Gear, 26 State Street, Hartford, Connecticut. And it was from that one line of information that I figured out when the clock was made. I did some research on Seth Thomas clocks, and what I found was they used the exact same printer on many of their clocks. But what really helps me is it tells you the address of the printer and when they were residing or their shop was located at that address. From what I found, Elihu Gear had his press shop or print shop located on 26 State Street from 1845 to about 1847. So this clock is no newer than 1847, one would imagine. Now another thing, if you look here, because of the style of this clock, and it didn't have a clear glass panel in the bottom, it had this paper backing which lists a ton of information regarding the maintenance and the dates of the maintaining, or I'm sorry, the dates the clock was maintained throughout its life. You can't really see much. I mean, I can see it just as good as the camera sees it, as I'm standing here. But watch what happens when I turn night shot mode on. It all pops out. All the graphite pencil markings just sort of stand right out. Now to make it even easier to see, I'm going to close this slider here and dim the light reflecting on it, and it even makes it much better contrast. So from here you can see several dates. Cleaned September 4th. That's supposed to be 1857, I believe. I know 1457 would be completely unrealistic. And by J.E. Dearborn, 9:30, 1865. Here's another one, March, it looks like 5th, 1867, or March 15th, by W. Adams. Cleaned by J.F. Evan, July 10th, 1868. And here's another one, 1933, Arlington, Mass. That's not too far from here. But here's the oldest one, cleaned by whoever, I don't know what that says, Jacob, 1/1751. And you know that's not 1951. Here's another one, I can't quite read the date on it, or if there is one, but that could be 1852, or I don't know. I can't really tell what it says. But anyway, and that is how I determine the age of this clock. Now let's take a look a little bit at the mechanism. I'm going to pull the face off and hands, which by the way, the hands are held in by a used graphanola needle. It was the exact same size, or the right size for the hole, because these were held in by a small steel dowel. But the graphanola needle works just fine. Now from here you can see the clock is obviously no museum piece. Somebody glued this stick of wood to help make up for the lack of support here because the wood is all chewed to hell. And this piece was glued together and clamped. Actually I did this and I did that too, but I just wanted to get the face on so I could at least display the clock. But realistically what I'd have to do is either replace these pieces of wood. I can actually find another OG case for almost next to nothing on eBay and kind of replace some of these parts. You know, at least I'd replace this one. But anyway, when I got this clock it was fitted with the wrong dial. It had a small steel, actually I've got it right here, an enameled steel dial that somebody threw on there, and it just isn't right. But he also gave me this one, which is the original. So it's almost identical to a Seth Thomas OG clock in every way. I mean, there's almost no difference. I think the movement's a little different, but other than that. And you can see those large cast iron weights. There's one on either side. Very rough looking weights. I don't know if this is the original pendulum. I believe because it runs a little slow and the pendulum is as high as it goes, I think it might be too heavy for this clock. But I'm going to go ahead and trigger the chime by using the manual synchronization lever. This is what you would use. This is what you would use to set the ring interval with the current hour. And all you do is just bump it up a little bit.